We have breaking news right now. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, has just declared war on American citizens and American cities in a speech to senior Pentagon leaders. Folks, I cannot overstate how important and serious this moment is. Today, Donald Trump addressed Pentagon senior leadership from across the globe in Quantico, Virginia. And his speech highlighted how the real threat, according to him, is within the United States of America, openly declaring war on American cities across the country, openly declaring war on what he perceives as domestic threats from American citizens. The president of the United States is actively talking about using the United States military against American citizens. Today, during the speech, Donald Trump declared war on Americans, saying, quote, "Our history is filled with military heroes who took on all enemies, foreign and domestic." That's what the oath says. Foreign and domestic. We also have domestic. Watch this.
But these service members are following in a great and storied military tradition, from protecting frontier communities to chasing outlaws and bandits in the Wild West. And our history is filled with military heroes who took on all enemies, foreign and domestic. You know that phrase very well. That's what the oath says, foreign and domestic. Well, we also have domestic. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Grover Cleveland, George Bush, and others all used the armed forces to keep domestic order and peace. Many of our leaders used the military to keep peace. Now they like to say, oh, you're not allowed to use the military. And you know what the people say? The people in those cities where they're being raped and shot and beat up, you know what they say? We love the military. You ever see where they interview the people on the street? I've never seen somebody say they don't, unless they're radical and paid off, because a lot of these insurrectionists are paid by, whether it's Soros or other people.
Moment. Donald Trump is actively highlighting how the real enemy, according to him, is within the United States of America, not abroad, not enemies like China or Russia, but rather enemies within the United States of America. And he told the generals that America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in any ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. I want you to check this moment.
That's what it is. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's a baby girl, Baby Precious. Today we need to talk about this video. It's very, very serious. Donald Trump has declared war on United States of America. Now let's talk about what that really means. First of all, think about it. How can a former president declare war on his own country? This is not leadership. That is betrayal. It shows that he does not care about people. He only cares about power. This is the same man who promised to make America great again. But now he's turning his anger on America itself. Instead of helping working family, instead of fixing healthcare job or education, he's pushing vision and trust. And here is the truth. When Trump talks about war, he's not talking about protecting people. He's talking about fighting against democracy, our freedom, and against anyone who does not agree with him. So that is very, very dangerous.
This is major historic news. J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, has formally called for President Trump to be removed from office under Section 4 of the 25th Amendment. Governor Pritzker made this announcement shortly after what many call a disturbing and unhinged speech by Donald Trump to his generals, where he suggested using Democrat cities as training grounds for the military. In a rebuke of those comments, Governor Pritzker suggested that Donald Trump is no longer connected to reality and says he believes the president president has dementia. The 25th Amendment has 4 sections. Each one deals with a different issue, but Section 4 is about involuntary removal of the president due to a disability or incapacity. Now, the procedure for invoking Section 4 of the 25th Amendment is actually really interesting, and once you understand it, you'll see this is probably not going to happen. First, the vice president and a majority of executive officers or a congressional body, they have to send letters to 2 people, the Speaker of the House and the President pro tempore of the Senate, the 2 highest ranking people. In that letter, they must declare that the president is unable to discharge his duties. Once this happens, the president can submit his own declaration saying that, hey, I'm not disabled. These people are crazy. Then the president can only be removed by a 2/3 majority vote in the House and the Senate. That's a lot of steps. And if you've been paying attention, you know the Speaker of the House is a MAGA Republican. The President pro tempore of the Senate is a MAGA Republican. And MAGA Republicans have the majority in the House and the Senate. So this probably isn't going to happen. Still, it's historic because yesterday we got an unfiltered, unedited speech by the president directly to over 800 generals. And what he said was deeply alarming to a lot of people, including the governor of Illinois. So we will see what happens next. If you'd like to stay in the loop, you can follow for more.
There is something genuinely wrong with this man, and the 25th Amendment ought to be invoked.
Donald Trump is the biggest embarrassment that this country has ever had. He's a threat to our democracy, and he's a threat to the ideals of this country. He uses bigotry to appeal to some of the most hateful people in this country in order to distract them from what he's actually doing to this country, which is destroying it from the inside. Give me a like if you agree with Governor Pritzker.
When Donald Trump declared war on the United States, it can mean he is turning his power against his own people. Instead of protecting America, he is treating them like enemies, sending the military, breaking rights, and silencing his voice. It is not a war with other countries, but war against citizens who disagree with.
We have some major news right now. One of the highest ranking Democratic officials in the entire country is coming out and asking for the 25th Amendment to be invoked to remove Donald Trump from office. Let's talk about it. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has become one of the highest ranking officials to come out and say that Donald Trump should be removed from office. Now, Pritzker says that the reason why Donald Trump should be removed from office is after his remarks at the military installation in Quantico, Virginia yesterday, where Trump said that Democrat-run cities like Chicago, Illinois, should be used as training grounds for the United States military. That comment set off scares across the country because it essentially meant that the military would be not just walking around and picking up trash, which is what the National Guard has been doing in Washington, D.C., but it would go further. It would use these cities as ways to train. What that means, that's unclear. Does that mean that military personnel are going to consider American citizens enemy combatants in this training? We obviously don't know. But Donald Trump made this remark saying that he suggested to Pete Hegseth that these cities were going to be used as training grounds. So I want you to check this remark out right now.
Very important mission. And I told Pete we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor, stupid. They threw him out of his family business. He was so stupid. I know the family. He becomes governor. He's got money. Not money that he made, but he ran for governor, he won, and now he criticizes us all the time. And last week they had 11 people murdered, 44 people shot. The week before that they had 5 people murdered, 28 people shot. Every weekend they lose 5, 6. If they lose 5, they're considering it a great week. They shouldn't lose any.
And now J.B. Pritzker is saying that after that remark, the 25th Amendment should be invoked because, quote, there is something genuinely wrong with this man. Pritzker went on to say that it appeared as though that not only dementia has set in for Donald Trump, but that he is actively copying the tactics of Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. He went on to say that sending troops into a city like Chicago, thinking that it's some sort of proving ground for war, or that there's some type of internal war going on in the United States is, quote, just frankly insane, and I'm concerned for his health. He says, quote, "There is something genuinely wrong with this man, and the 25th Amendment ought to be invoked."
Donald Trump just declared war on American citizens. The President of the United States just declared war on American citizens. What do we...
Moments ago, it was just reported that President Trump has declared the cartels to be unlawful combatants of the United States and is now in a non-international armed conflict. A source leaked the information to ABC News and reported that Congress was told this morning. Congress was notified, but they're frustrated that the Pentagon was unable to provide them with a list of designated organizations that make up this group that we're supposedly at war with. Now here's the concerning part. By claiming that the campaign against the cartels is an active armed conflict, Trump appears to be claiming extraordinary wartime powers to justify possible future actions. In other words, we're likely about to enter a war which Trump will try to sell as not a war with an actual country, but a war with groups of individuals within these countries.
Donald Trump is now reduced to mocking Americans for losing their jobs and funding as he has brought the presidency to a low we never thought we'd get to. Now, overnight, you probably missed it, but Donald Trump put out another AI video of him and his teams being Grim Reapers as they're slashing funding and federal jobs. And I'm not kidding. Take a look at this. This is it. This is a whole music video that they put out. And while some of you Republicans will say he's just having fun, he is the president of the United States, celebrating that his team is going to go around and start cutting federal jobs and federal funding. That is going to affect Americans, everyday Americans, their livelihood, their ability to feed their families. That's what the toll is that this is taking. This is a serious issue and not something to simply make jokes and post memes about. We need a president who can be an adult, who can be a leader, not this nonsense. This may be fun when you're talking with your buddies in the bar and having a good time, but not for the president.
Moments ago, it was just reported that President Trump has declared the cartels to be unlawful combatants of the United States and is now in a non-international armed conflict. A source leaked the information to ABC News and reported that Congress was told this morning. Congress was notified, but they're frustrated that the Pentagon was unable to provide them with a list of designated organizations that make up this group that we're supposedly at war with. Now here's the concerning part. By claiming that the campaign against the cartels is an active armed conflict, Trump appears to be claiming extraordinary wartime powers to justify possible future actions. In other words, we're likely about to enter a war which Trump will try to sell as not a war with an actual country, but a war with groups of individuals within these countries.
Note, the President of the United States is not sending troops into Republican cities or into Republican states. He's talked about it, but that's not what he's doing. He is focused on Democrats, and now he's made an enemies list. He's made a list of people that are his political opponents, and he's calling us domestic enemies. I mean, what kind of a country are we in here? The United States used to be a country where the president followed the Constitution, where the president believed in the rule of law, where the president didn't target people based on their views, but rather had debate with people and maybe won, maybe lost in an election and put their views forward and got them passed. But the idea that you're going to go suggest that you're going to arrest people or that people don't deserve to be U.S. citizens when they are, just because they oppose the President of the United States. And there is something genuinely wrong with this man, and the 25th Amendment ought to be invoked.
We have some major news right now. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is calling for Donald Trump to be removed from office via the 25th Amendment, marking the highest profile elected official to call on Donald Trump's removal from office. Pritzker says that Donald Trump's statements concerning using American cities, including the city of Chicago, as a training ground for the military completely undermines Trump's oath that he has to the American people and to the office of the president, essentially alluding, saying that there's something seriously wrong with Donald Trump. Pritzker compared Trump to Vladimir Putin, accused him of showing signs of dementia, and warned that deploying troops to American cities were both dangerous and unconstitutional. The White House says that Trump is acting to protect Americans where Pritzker has failed. But folks, the 25th Amendment has been called essentially by the governor of Illinois, highest ranking official in the country to do so to this day. Follow along for more.
I'm sorry. I had to stop my car because I'm having a panic attack. Donald Trump, in his speech, just declared war on America. What is happening? What is happening? I'm in the middle of a panic attack. That's all I have to say.
So let's be clear, no president, no ex-president, no politician should ever be allowed to declare war on the people they love to serve. Americans deserve better than a leader who act like an enemy of the state. Thanks for watching this video. If you agree that Trump declaring war on America is wrong, hit and like. Drop your thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe for more breakdowns like this. Thank you.